Hello and welcome to Dish Shelved with Adam White. Today I'm going to talk about the Meg and is it trash? And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean it in the same sense of Garbogust which is past now. But I read that book, The Predators, during Garbogust, which was the trashiest book I've ever read. And I thought, what could top a giant bear versus a giant shark? Well, how about a shark that's even bigger? And with the second movie coming out recently, or getting ready to come out by the time you see this, one or the other, um, I thought, maybe I'll read The Meg and decide if it's a trash book or not. And I mean that in the sense of, is it made to fulfill a popular uh, niche uh, in the current book cycle today? And the short answer is yes. Uh, the the Meg is about a guy that well, the thing is in fiction you usually have three main types of conflicts. You have man versus nature, man versus man, and man versus himself or herself. Uh, and this hits the trifecta because you've got a man named Jonas Taylor who is fighting against a giant prehistoric shark, which is man versus nature. You've got him fighting against some people from the Navy and his estranged wife. And so you've got that man versus man, human versus human, might be a better way to put it. And then you've got him dealing with uh, regrets and uh, problems that he dealt with 7 years prior to the story beginning. That is man versus himself. So he does a really good job of mixing all those things together. And making a really interesting book. The science in it sounds plausible. I don't know how much Steve Alton knows about marine biology, but uh, lost it there. I don't know how much he knows about marine biology, but it seems to be that he does know a lot about it. He's done his research. Uh, but anyway, they go down deep in the Mariana Trench and end up bringing a giant megalodon shark to the surface where it hadn't been for millions of years, and introducing new uh, food to it, namely being humans. And all the whale migrations are going on during this time, so it's finding ample food sources, and it's just a predator with an instinct to hunt and eat. That's just all it does. So I mean, it's just a force of nature that isn't, even though it is kind of vilified, really just is doing what nature intended it to do. Now, the plot is very cinematic. I could tell when I read this book, I mean, I could see it as a movie the whole time I'm reading it. You could tell he wrote it wanting it to be a movie because it just was very cinematic in the way it was set up. And you could really see it as a movie, which is a good thing. And it was really interesting. Now there were some cheesy one-liners as you got towards the end, which I found suspect a little bit. I thought they could have done without, but it's exactly the kind of cheesy one-liners you'd find in a movie. So he was definitely shopping this out to be a movie, and he got a movie made and a second movie made. So, and he got Jason Statham to be in it. So uh, that's kind of, he makes kind of trashy movies. And again, that's not to say they're bad movies, because they're not. They're just made for a popular demand. And he's kind of a pulp hero in and of himself, which makes it really interesting that they ended up with him in this book, in this movie. And I haven't seen the movie. I'm deathly afraid of sharks, so I can read about them, but I probably can't watch the movie. So I probably won't ever watch the movie, but I've got a thing. Sharks are one of those things I'm just deathly afraid of. So Shark Week and all that, that won't be something I'm watching. Uh, but the plot is just basically they bring this thing back to the surface by accident, and it's them fighting it, trying to keep it alive because it's an endangered species, but balancing that against the fact that it's killing people and is a menace to the ocean and the cycle of life there that it was never meant to be part of. And it really has a lot of violence, a lot of gore. There is some sex, but it's mostly off screen, just to borrow a movie term. Uh, it happens, but he doesn't really talk about it during it. He just kind of mentions that it has happened. But there's a ton of violence, shark related violence. And the end is just almost disgusting, uh, but tolerable, but if completely implausible. Uh, it just, it kept getting uh, trashier and trashier as it went along. And again, I say that in a good way. I really enjoyed this book. I found it to be very enjoyable. And the other thing that makes it trashy, there's two other main things. One, there's either 6 or 7 books in this series. It says there's 7, but I only have found 6. So I'm not sure what the discrepancy there is. But the fact that it's a series of books makes it kind of like a men's adventure book back from the 70s. And the fact that there's multiple issues of it, uh, multiple novels of it, and that kind of makes it be in the frame of the old men's adventure novels that aren't as prevalent today, but this I think is kind of a modern day successor to that. And the other thing is, and I don't think I'm giving anything away by saying this, but if your novel ends, instead of having a nice little denouement at the end with everyone that's still alive, conversing about their experience or what they're going to do next, it gets to the end of the book and then it has in bold letters "to be continued." And if it has "to be continued" at the end, it's trash. So, because okay, there's more coming. This isn't a one-shot thing. So anyway, the Meg, very entertaining book. And again, I say trash lovingly because it's a very entertaining book. And I do recommend it to you to read it, especially if you're into animal attacks books or sharks or, just real suspense thrillers. Uh, I mean, it's suspenseful through the entire thing. And again, he has a very cinematic way of writing. Uh, you just really can really visualize what he's writing as you're reading it, and he does a really good job. I think he's a really good writer. So the Meg, yes, it's a trashy book, trashy series, but that's a good thing. And it's something we could use a little bit more of in today's book market, because we don't have all the, executioners and edge books and stuff like that anymore. So we could use a modern day successors to that. And I think these Meg books are it. And there might be some others out there, so I'll keep an eye out. Anyway, I appreciate you hanging out with me this week. Hopefully, you enjoyed this. I enjoyed talking about it, and I will see you all next week.